Hi, welcome to Wealthy Mindset. My name is Oliver. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Hope you're having a great day. In today's video, I'm going to talk about BlackBerry Stock for April 16th trading day to the next couple of weeks. I'm going to analyze the graph to give you the highs and lows, essentially price target predictions, and I'm going to throw in some fundamentals, which I think is going to be beneficial for almost the end of the year kind of stuff. Now, quick disclaimer before I begin. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a professional. And everything I do share with you is just my opinion. It is not advice. So please do not buy or sell based off the information I give you or the opinions I do form. Please do your own due diligence and research before buying and selling. I do own shares in BlackBerry, been holding for 6 years, so I'm a long-term investor overall. And then keep in mind, I could easily be biased or too optimistic in terms of BlackBerry, so be overcritical when you're watching this video. So in terms of fundamentals, I'm going to go to fundamentals first. They signed, so if you kept up with the news, they signed a deal with the Canadian government and they signed a deal with the Canadian IBM. Now, the reason why this is significant, in terms of the contracts and all that stuff, they're not big enough to necessarily move the stock overall in terms of the short term, but in terms of long term, if you watched my video for Q4 fiscal year 2021, in terms of the earnings revenue, I reviewed it. And they stated in the conference call that by Q3 or Q4 of fiscal year 21, right? I don't know if I said 21 earlier, but that was 2020 in terms of Q4 reviewed. But for 2021 fiscal year Q3, sorry about that. For Q3 and Q4 of fiscal year 21, that's in December of this year or March of next year for Q4, they stated that BlackBerry Spark revenue will start doing well, right? And the reason why that's significant is because BlackBerry Spark, in terms of that system, is in correlation to competing with CrowdStrike's system overall. And if that's the case, that's awesome, because then if their growth in that type of sector kind of thing grows as significant in terms of year over year or quarter over quarter, then we could technically start matching CrowdStrike's evaluation in terms of market cap, because CrowdStrike's market cap, the last time I checked, was about in terms of somewhere between the $30 to $50 billion market cap, while BlackBerry is I think right now at the moment is at $6 billion market cap, if not dropped lower than that. So that's a significance. So these are pretty big contracts. In terms of it's not necessarily big enough again for the stock, but it's showing progress. So that's the main thing. So this is a multi-year growth, multi-year contract for BlackBerry Spark and BlackBerry SecuSUITE. But then for the IBM as well, in terms of leading industry BlackBerry Spark platform to organize across Canada, etc., etc. So this is recent developments. I'll link them down below if you want to check them out. But again, the main thing is to show that they're having progress for BlackBerry Spark, which is great. Now, you're not going to see anything until Q3, Q4, so that's more for the long term. Now, if we look at the stock, closed at $8.77 as of April 15th. The one thing I want to show before I show the within the trading day and the next few weeks and all stuff is essentially I showed in the last video. There's an upward trend support line dating back since March 2020, and then it had a touch point right here in December in 2020. And like I stated in the last video, I would take this with extreme don't put much faith into this at all. But I included it just because it has 2 touch points and potentially could come back down to bounce off to the upside on it. Now, if I zoom in closer, it didn't touch it yet, but it's really, really close. The only thing is, though, the reason why I would not put too much faith into it is because the MACD line is still in the negative and it's not curving up. So this MACD line, just to let you know, it's indicating it's a bearish movement right now at the moment. It's not bullish, so it's not optimistic. The reason why I'm including, though, to mention it, even though you don't want I would not put too much faith into it, is if you look right here with a downward trend resistance line dating back from the all-time high of 2008, and you could just see kept us down. And in case if you're oh, you can't include all the way from 2008, then this is 2018. So I think 2018 is pretty relative downward trend. If you don't want to include the peak of 2018 all-time high of BlackBerry, you could include, I think it's fair to say, 2018 to all the way down here. Broke it in December and then bounced off the downward trend resistance line, acted as support, which is awesome, in December as well of 2020. So broke into December 2020, bounced off in December 2020, and hopefully bounce up to the upside. So the game plan is bounce off the support line and go to the upside, and that would be great stuff. But I would not put much faith into it, just to let you know. Okay, so now looking at the 1 month chart, like I showed in the last video, there's a downward trend resistance line dating back since January 25th, 2020, or 2021, sorry about that. And then you can see right here, 2 touch points, back tested as a resistance. Now I think we're going to continue down, like I mentioned in the last 2 videos, I think, where 860 will still be in play all the way till end of April. And you can see right here, April 26th, meeting these 2 points. And this point right here is a support level that has 3 touch points. It's going to be hard to see the first one, but here's the first touch point, second touch point, third touch point. It's somewhat an upward trend support line, so it's not a horizontal support level. And essentially, if we come back down to test it, if we drop down quickly, it's 847. If we drop down later on, it goes to the 850 range, but I'll explain more. Like always, I'm going to cover the downside and the upside, just because nobody knows for sure. For all we know, good news could come out, it could spike up dramatically to the upside. Bad news could come out, it could dramatically spike down to the downside. Now, I'm technically thinking it's going to consolidate around here for quite a while, and I'm going to elaborate more, just because, yes, it'll be going a little bit lower, but the MACD line for the 1 month chart crossed over to the positive. It's kind of hard to see, but there's one uptick, and potentially, like I'll explain. So essentially in the game plan, if you don't have enough time to watch the whole thing, it's going to be going back and forth between these levels, back and forth, all the way until April 26th. Hopefully it breaks quicker than that, but if it does, if it does do this, hopefully it breaks the upside at April 26th. It's not a guarantee though. It could still continue on the downside and bounce, like get knocked down and continue on the downward trend resistance line, especially if you're considering the 5-year chart that I showed, where the MACD line is still in the negative. There's no indication that's necessarily going in the bullish movement. So technically it could still continue after April 26th to the downside. Just keep that in mind. So if we're looking at this and we spike up, I'm going to cover one more thing too before I go into more details, is if we do spike up dramatically quickly to the upside, we could easily, when I zoomed in and checked it out, get knocked down at 982. And even if we do pass it, there's quite a bit of horizontal resistance at 893 to 988. Sorry about that. So 983, between 988, between that level is resistance. Those are horizontal resistance levels. Plus we have the downward trend resistance level at 982. Now, given all that stuff, I'm going to cover the downside first, more like specifically, and then the upside more specifically as well after that. So now the reason why we might be going to the downside, we're below all 3 moving averages. So when you're below them, they could act as a resistance, not all the time, but they can. When you're above them, they could act as support. Again, not all the time, but they can. And if we go lower, we have support at 871 to 869. These are horizontal support levels. We do have support at 861, but I think we'd start trickling down to the 850 range anyway, potentially. Hopefully not, but we can. And if we do, we have support between 851 to 856 and 850 range in general. Then we could, if we do it quickly, we could see the 847 like I stated. So if we quickly drop 847, but if you want to count for false breakouts too, there's horizontal support at 841, 840 range. Hopefully that does not happen, does not come in play, but I think it would still be okay. It would still be safe. Any lower than that, I would start getting worried dramatically. But we'll see. Hopefully in the 5-year chart, it does not break. Like hopefully it still accounts for bounces, but we'll see. Now, if it continues throughout the whole entire time, like the longer it takes, like for example, April 21st right here, it could potentially be stopping below the 850 range. Technically it's showing 851 right now, but anything's fair game. It could still hit 840 at that point, but closer we get to April 26th, like the less chance we'll see 840. Now, if you think it's going to bounce to the upside, then you have resistance in the 880 range. And essentially, quick thing too, by the way, it looks like there's like quite a bit of consolidation between the 890 to 890 to 950 range. So even if we do go up later on, by the way, we might get destroyed by the 950 range that we've been seeing here. Plus, there's resistance at the 950 range anyway, horizontal level, which I'll elaborate more to the upside soon. And then plus, by the time we meet the downward trend resistance line, we're probably going to get knocked down by the 950 range. Hopefully I didn't repeat that. I might have said that again because I've recorded this a couple times, but apologize. But so if we go to the upside, the resistance will meet at the 880 range. There's a bunch of resistance throughout the whole entire thing. 888, if you've been invested in BlackBerry for quite a while, you know about $8.88 anyway. But then 895, which I did not include, 885, which I did not include here, but I know I checked it on the side. 882 to 884 and 889. But either way, that's going to be a big task to pass. 895 range, essentially 891, 895 to 897. And then what we want to do is get to $9. Now, $9 is pretty significant now, unfortunately, because for the following reason. The moving average is at $8.98 and $9 price point for the essence for the most part right about here. When I checked it, it was $9. The reason why that's significant is not only is a horizontal resistance level, not only is the moving average going to count as resistance as well, but it's a psychological number because it's a clean number. So they tend to, if you're like above clean numbers, they act as support, not all the time, but they usually do. And if you're below them, they could act as resistance. Again, not all the time, but they usually do. So given all three, like trifectas almost, it's going to be probably difficult. Not guaranteed. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not difficult, but it might most likely act as resistance quite a bit. So $9 resistance. Between $9.13/14 there's quite a bit of resistance at $9.12 as well. That's probably going to keep us to the side for a little bit while, but $9.14 would be a good indication passing. Now, the last moving average right here is at $9.09, $9.08 as resistance as well. So this whole entire ballpark of $9 to $9.14 is going to keep us down for quite a while. Now, once we pass that, we're looking at $9.27 to $9.37, but the conglomerate, like the whole entire ballpark, will be mainly between $9.27 to $9.31. And then once we pass that, we're looking at $9.50, $9.55 as well, but essentially the $9.50 range. So passing $9.50 range is going to be quite difficult. You could put that with the $9.63 range or the $9.60 range, but $9.63 passing it, that's what we need to pass. Again, like I stated, if we meet up the downward trend resistance line early, we need to pass the $9.80 range essentially. And if we try to meet it up later on, it's the $9.50 range. The longer we take to meet it, the lower the high will be, if that makes sense. So if you're looking at here, it's like we're going to be capped at 856 or essentially by April 26th. So keep that in mind. So I'll try to keep you guys posted, updated daily / every other day or something, but just keep in mind these levels kind of tend to move here and there. And then the next price point, what we want to get to is $10. After $10, I'm going to essentially stop, but $9.95 to $9.99, then $10, $10.02, $10.05, then $10.11 to $10.15. I don't think we're going to pass this, even if we spike up dramatically soon, but hopefully we do. If we do, we're looking at $10.27 to $10.37. This is pretty much the utmost max for the time being until we have a massive run up. So hopefully we spike up to the upside. No guarantees, but again, nobody knows for sure. But thanks again for watching. Really appreciate it. Hope you liked the video. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you did like it, consider dropping a like. Appreciate it. Helps out the channel. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. I'll try to answer them as soon as possible. And if you do like this video or other stock videos or other financial videos that I do post, consider subscribing. It does help out the channel. And that's pretty much it. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.